there we go.
There we are. That
All right.
button to start this live.
All right. Hopefully you can see me. All right.
Boom. And we're live. Happy Transformation Tuesday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And welcome to we are here with writer, director, voiceover artist, Valoneecia Tolbert. Welcome to the
Hello.
Dollhouse. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always exciting. I'm excited.
Yes, yes, yes. So before we kick off this conversation and interview, 2026 for you thus far.
You know what? I'm gonna thank the Lord for the blessings that I've received thus far. It's been a beautiful, creatively, it's been an absolutely beautiful year. We have a couple of things in pipeline going on right now. We have a couple of projects that have already been wrapped up. I have a couple of casting projects that I'm working on right now. So we're moving. We're staying booked and busy right now. So let's just keep this flow going.
Yes, 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 yes. That, but you are an award-winning. Uh, I mean, you hold so many titles, like award-winning. Before we dive
Yeah,
into,
we have a couple. No, go for it.
go ahead. I'm
We have
sorry.
a couple of I was really blessed during the pandemic to have some really amazing women in my corner who were really big on making sure my voice was heard and making sure that they helped me dive into the project of, not just self-discovery, but of writing like a one-woman show that I had always wanted to do. And it just kind of went on from there. It had legs, which is great. It kept getting produced, and unfortunately, with the National Endowment of the Arts funding being cut, some of those opportunities that were supposed to have happened in 2025 didn't. But I'm still looking forward to what's going to happen in the future with the show. I think Tales of a Blurred Ballerina. Check it out. It's on Facebook. Also, look at Valoneecia.com. Sorry, no shame. When you take a look at some of those, there's there's always like a room. There's always room for our stories, and I'm lucky that other women also were there to embolden me to feel free to tell mine as well. So definitely check it out. And it's
And it's
received a lot of awards. Had amazing cast and crew. Amazing crew. Couldn't have happened without them. Florinda Bryant, Jay, rest in heaven. Courtney D'Angelo, rest in heaven. We lost some really great ones, during that show, or after the show. But we had just some powerhouse humans at the Vortex Theater that gave us the room to produce it. It was a big blessing, and it was definitely about young black awkward women like myself being able to just explore who they were and knowing that who we are in our blackness and in our giddiness and in our joy, it's all okay. So yeah, it was a blessing.
absolutely. And shout outs to my girl, Faith is the Substance. Y'all make sure y'all go and head on over and subscribe to her channel. She says, "Hello, Valencia, and salutations."
Oh, hello, hello, lovely to have you.
Shout outs to my brother K Tooks, host of the K Tooks Spot. Welcome to the Dollhouse if you're just coming in. And I'm going to go back to what you just said because you've had a list of notable roles. You said one woman show. Lisa B. Thompson, single black female. Lisa B. Thompson's world premiere of The Monologues, The Vortex,
Mhm,
and the list goes
mhm,
on and on. It is important that African American women and for me, when I think of Broadway, when I think of theater, I can think of two women right in advance, and that would be Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen, who have broke the mold, solidified and opened doors so that other women and other black actors can be shown in theater, can be seen in these spaces. And it is important. So when you said funding was cut, we're seeing the current state where they
mhm.
want to erase black arts. They want to
Yes,
erase our legacy, our lineage. And it's
yes.
important that we keep continuing as writers, as directors, because you've done some voiceover work as well too,
Mhm.
girl. So I
Yeah,
mean, you voice over in film, dance, writing, all of that. You've done games, Nubia, Dr. Sarah Chandler, and so much more. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And also, I want to give a credits to Cree Summer. You guys know Cree Summer from A Different World. She's voiced over. plethora of
Yes.
characters. So
Yes.
to see black women in these spaces voicing over, doing the voiceover arts of some of our favorite cartoon characters, Valoneecia, you would be up there on the Mount Rushmore with Cree Summer, others who
I'm
have done
trying.
voiceover work.
She
You're
is
up there,
like
girl.
one of my goddesses. She is like one of my goddesses. Cree Summer, and I love that you also mentioned you mentioned Debbie Allen. Those are two of my creative goddesses. I always look to them for inspiration because they do everything. They do everything, and they do it with such an unabashed willingness to try. Even if it doesn't mean that you're successful at everything. And I love the fact that Debbie had that conversation. It's not about being what you consider successful at everything. It's about getting out there and trying, and you don't know you don't know what's going to happen. Fail big, fail forward. Always moving forward. That's the idea. Oh, I love them. I love that you mentioned them.
And it's Women's History Month. For those of you who don't know, March is International Women's History Month. So, who were some of the women that have helped shape your career, Valencia? I know for one, for me, is my mother. I call my mom
Mhm.
my superwoman. And I know that
Yes.
she's been with me every step of the way through the ups and downs. So, who are some of the women that have helped shape you in your career?
Whew, I mean, you said a word, Antoinetta Tolbert. My mother, Antoinetta Tolbert. She was there with me when I was thinking I was doing cheerleading in the fifth grade summer camp and landing in a split facing the wrong direction. And she's still yeah, I never thought it was horrible until we had a conversation over it, like years ago, like maybe like 3 months ago, where she was like, "Remember when you did that cartwheel that was the wrong direction?" And I was like, I never even thought of that as a mistake because she was so like, "That's my girl." Um, been here ups and downs. I was also really blessed. We lost her a few more than a few moons ago, but Valletta Wilson,
Sorry.
Valletta Juanita Wilson, that was my grandmother. She was such a huge cheerleader for me, and in my awkwardness, she was a very big person of never letting you be quiet. Like that was I didn't until I got older and into college, I never had anyone really tell me I was being too much or tell me I was being too loud. And a lot of that was because one, I just realized people were like, "Oh, she just crazy. Just let her be who she is." But it was also this idea that Valletta had always taught me being vocal was important. Being unafraid of who you are was really important. And a lot of it's because like she was gorgeous, really smart, and grew up in a time period where I talked about it in my play. She grew up in a time where being high yellow really mattered, so to speak. So no one even thought to tell her to be small, and she just took up tons of space. She was little, but she took up tons of space, and there's a value in that. We don't do that with our women enough. We don't tell them tell us that we can take up space enough. Um, so yeah, those are some women that really shaped who I am in two very different ways. And I know that those are blessings. And then even just going into the space of theater, Florinda Bryant, who actually directed Tales of a Blurred Ballerina when I got full funding to do it, she has many one woman shows. I would, if anyone check out her work, Florinda Bryant, not hard to find online, but she's always about taking up space and writing your truth and being honest with who you are as well. And when you have someone who just catapults themselves into educating not just people, but just making sure that we as a people are also educated, you are just in such blessed company. So I am really thankful for a lot of the artistic Black women that I have in my corner. Lisa B. Thompson, I know you saw her work
Oh,
there
yeah.
before. Uh, just what she writes for Black women, making sure that we aren't boxed into a very small space of like, well, you get to be someone's someone's baby's mother, or you get to be none of that with her. She doesn't deal in like everything being stress. Like we're stressed enough as women, but I love the fact that she doesn't deal in the politics of the what is it called, trauma porn that was happening for it and can happen when it comes to black experience. And I'm putting quotes on that, black experience in writing and in plays and in movies. She really showed me, prior to that also that, we have some just beautiful stories to tell that are just, I want to be in a rom-com too, like and this was, of course, like, thank goodness 5 to 7 years ago, and we're seeing so many more just like lovely romances and not just like, not just like brown sugar, but just so many more stories where we're allowed to just be. And I'm really grateful that I got to have that kind of metamorphosis of self about 5 to 6 years ago. Yeah. So
And it's
thankful for
more,
them.
and I'm going to go back to what you said because I touched on this with my show yesterday. We touched on about being labeled as you're loud, you're too much. What being black women in the business, that's what they automatically label us as.
Hmm.
We're too loud, we're too aggressive, we need to be quiet. And I can go
Hmm.
down a long list of women who were entertainers who paved the way for both of us, who were told you need to sit down and just be quiet and stay quiet. Um, I'm gonna go all the way back to Josephine Baker since we're in the category, the theater realm. Josephine Baker. If it wasn't
I
for her, we wouldn't have a Beyonce or a Janet or all of these
absolutely.
other amazing female artists. Dorothy Dandridge is another. Um, Lola Falana. And I can remember, and this woman doesn't get enough credit. She's a singer, Phyllis Hyman. She spoke out about racism. And she
Yes.
said, you know what? I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure that I employ everybody that looks like me and my team. And it is important. So it goes back to what you said about us having to create these spaces and not only
Absolutely.
create these spaces, but not only be placed in a box. We
Right.
businesses, and even me hosting this platform, you don't want to be placed in a box. And I'm so thankful for the likes of
Yeah.
shows like Girlfriends and Living Single for me growing up, because
Right.
you get to see four different black women, four different walks of life, and their experience is not the same. Each woman has a story, and that's
Hmm.
the same for each of us as women in this country. We all have a story to tell. Not one woman's story is going to be the same as the next. So it's
Exactly.
important that we preserve this, the lineage and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you said that. And we know Living Single was it was showing like four different Black women who are successful in their own right. And I love the fact that there is no
Yes.
definition of what success is. And I think that was a really important lesson. I think it's still an important lesson for us to have. As we're like, well, I've had one person who was like, well, I'm a secretary. And I was like, are you happy? Like one of my businesses, I have a Marbly Maids cleaning service. If you're in Atlanta, hello. Marbly Maids cleaning
Plug
service.
it,
And for
girl. Plug
you
it.
know you know and it's one of those things of I came from tech, and I was doing theater, and I was doing all these things, and I still do, obviously I do tons of I still do a lot of theater. I do, film, commercial, but as a business, I just had to realize, like, well, it makes me happy. You're always told, well, this being in an office is what made you successful, and it's like, well, no, being happy and healthy is what made you successful. And we have to start shaping our own stories. We have to start shaping what makes us joyful and not what someone is telling us makes us joyful. So, a lot of this is the creative experience coming back and just reminding me. And the creative process will also put people in the universe will put people in your life that will reinforce, like, this is making you happy, this is what's creating that success for you, like, move forward. Even if it makes other people uncomfortable for whatever reason, do it. So, it's been a year of really a year of blessings. This last year has really been a year of blessings.
Absolutely, absolutely. And more blessings to you. So if you got a business, keep plugging it. Keep plugging it. Yes, you don't need my permission. Like I told
Thank
my
you.
guest yesterday, Tracy, I was telling her, I said, plug your business, get it out there, girl. Let people know this is the year. And I must say, 2026 is the year of the woman. We're seeing so many things being rolled back, but we're still fighting. We're still resisting. We're making
Absolutely.
sure that we hold on to our lineage, the arts, and it's important. And when we get up in these spaces, as far
Hmm.
as being on stage, we let everybody know, help the next woman and the next woman that is coming right after you, because
Right.
just like Hattie McDaniel crawled so that Holly Berry and Monique and Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis and all of these other amazing actresses,
Yes.
Valoneecia Tolbert, all of them can
Yes.
walk.
Claim it.
Hattie McDaniel had to go through the back door. She was told you had to go through the back door to get her
Hmm.
award. She was the first Black woman to receive an Academy Award. We just had the Oscars
Right.
not too long ago, and she was told she had to go through the door to receive her award.
Hmm.
She couldn't go to the hotel. So it just
Hmm.
goes to show you the sacrifices as Black women in this business that we have to go through. And it's important being
Absolutely.
in whatever space that we plug it, that we speak out on whatever goes on, and make sure that our stories are being told. I have a girlfriend,
Hmm.
Rashida Randall, and she did some work for BET. Yes, she did some
Hmm.
things with BET Network. And she was telling me that it is, as a writer, that it is important, as writers and as Black women, that we tell our stories, because it could be Black women in the audience that could have been through a similar situation or know a friend or a
Yes.
sibling who had went through that situation. So when you say
Hmm.
one woman show, I think of, the vagina monologue. I think of women
Right.
coming in and saying these spaces. Brad says, "Hi, Val. Are you in church right
Hi.
now?"
I am actually at the beautiful Fox Theater right now, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, yes. There you have it. There you have it.
I'm like, so yeah,
And
I
we were
was like,
just
it's
talking
it's
about
like church.
coming in. We were talking about the importance of storytelling if you're just coming in on the tail end of our conversation, and being Black women in these spaces, and the importance of sharing our stories for not only just us but for our people as well too, because our people can take away from that. Now we're going to move
Hmm.
on to the next part of Valonicia's story, which is she's done voiceover for some of your favorite characters. So
Yeah.
what is it like being in a space where it's inclusive, but they can't really see the person behind the voice until we come out and say, "Hey, I've done that." Do you guys remember? And I'll give you an example. Do you guys remember on BET there was a show called Cetus World? And it's a black Sita that she had the shortcut and everything. She was on BET and she aired the music videos. It was a Black woman who voiced that character.
Oh, with
So
the
it's
with the side
important.
swoop.
Yes, and she was this
Hmm.
tiny little thing. Y'all remember Sita's World? Well, she
Hmm.
came out and she said, "I've went and I've done some voiceover work over here and over here and over here." So more and more
Yeah.
Black women are taking over in these spaces. So, Valencia, what
Yeah.
was it like for you being a Black woman, a woman of color in these spaces, breaking
Hmm.
barriers for voice to be doing voiceover?
You know what? I like I said, there's so much of my life I feel like has been really charmed. It was a situation where I was supposed to do a there was supposed to be another video game that they were going to do, and it was, it's wrapped now, but they were going to have all the different characters together, so I can mention it. So it's not getting made. And I was going to be doing a very different character. Shuri from Black Panther was going to be in it, and I was like, yeah, and I was super excited. And it didn't happen, and I was really bummed. The merger between Disney and Marvel happened, and that whole idea of DC got scrapped. I was devastated. I was like, my big chance. But as we know, like there's never just one opportunity. You have to pay attention, but the universe and God will make things happen for you. And I got a call about from Alex of like, hey, I think this would be a great opportunity for you. I think you could kill this game. Do you want to audition for it? And I was like, oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, because I sound kind of like a 13-year-old Muppet. I was like, they're not gonna think about me for that one. Of course you put your big girl voice on because it is voiceover. And I was like, okay, word. And they didn't want to tell me who it was. They just gave me the script, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, this is Nubia from Wonder Woman. By the way, grew up reading lots of comics. Shout out to my uncle Harry. He was really huge on like huge influence on me with like the comics. So immediately,
I'm knowing who it is. And I was like, okay, he's not going to say who it is, but let me do all the things I can do. Then also I was reading for the villain as well, which is Grail, who is, people don't talk about her enough, but she is fierce. Like she destroyed everyone. Like half, half new god, half half Amazonian. She dominates, and she's definitely got a chip on her shoulder, and but it was so much fun being able to do that and being given the freedom to just have fun and just kind of go really far out there with the voice of what you wanted to do. And for Grail, it was kind of the first time anyone had heard her, because before that, she's a fairly, at the time she was only like 3 or 4 years old as a character. So it was a big opportunity to be able to just do something very unique, very different. And they let me play. And the fact that they also had a woman of color writing Nubia's lines made a huge impact and a huge difference. And the fact that they were also very big on saying like there is a black woman voicing this. Like, they were trying to make sure that people understood it's not, some random, a white woman in the background. Hi. Mhm, mhm. Speaking on behalf of anyone. So it was a really wonderful experience when it came to that. So, blessings, right? The blessings that you get as a creative. So really good stuff.
Amazing, amazing. And that's the importance of diversity, making sure that we showcase and highlight every single thing. And speaking of animation, a little Black history here since we're into talking about cartoon characters. Betty Boop. Betty Boop, that we saw, the Betty Boop character, based off of the image of an actual Black woman who looks
Mhm.
exactly like Betty Boop, based exactly off of her. So it is important that we tell our stories, we get them out here, we highlight every single. I got a comment yesterday from someone here on the channel saying, "Thank you for celebrating our heroes." I said, "Oh, absolutely. It's Women's History Month," and I said I'm going to make it my business to highlight Black women throughout this week. Almost every single woman that I've posted. Today's woman was Septima Clark. So it's up there on my community tab. You guys know the importance of Septima Clark, and she's right here from South Carolina where I'm at. And I said, "Oh my God, wow, Charleston, South Carolina. That's where my brother is." So that's how I found out the connection of this woman and reading her story because I'm in South Carolina. So it's important that I'm going to continue to keep highlighting African American women, making sure that our stories are told, making sure that people understand the contributions that we have brought to the entertainment business, as well as not only in the entertainment business, but also in a space where it's so male dominated, voiceover, whatever it may be.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I'm putting my glasses on. I can't really see as well. There we go. Hi, there we go. I can see a beautiful face. Ha ha ha. But yeah,
Ambition.
always important, always important. But in fact, Boop right now is one of the shows on. Well, I think it was just closing up for Broadway, but it is going on tour, and that's actually coming out to the Fox Theater, and it's in Atlanta, Georgia. I can't wait. I can't wait. I wanted to get up there to see it, and I wasn't able to, so I'm just like, please support. Like that's one of those that I'm like, support. Come out and support. It's not just about it being in the
Oh,
theater, but it's definitely about this Black piece of work being in this space, that I think is so important, that we're making sure that like there's more and more opportunity coming forward for that, right? And hopefully one day my show will end up being here, or one of the shows I write will end up being here on a tour of some sort. So I'm just like, get all the Black art out there that we can get it out there.
and we have our spaces. And I was telling one of my colleagues, I said, we need to invent a space where we can celebrate our arts. I mean, we have the African American Museum. We
Hmm.
have that, but I'm like, we need a place where we can showcase our talents and our talents alone. Like one that comes to mind for me is the Apollo, and it was just a place where people could go and perform, whether it may be comedy, but whether it may be dance, whether it may be music. It was all of these things. When I think of a space, I think of the Apollo. The Harlem Renaissance era was just everything.
It was
So
everything.
we're now in 2026. So I
I
said,
mean,
there
we're
has to
out
be a
here.
space.
We're out here. We're trying. We're creating. Everything doesn't, start at the Apollo, but we're all building up. I mean, I know in Atlanta there are several. We have several spaces that are black owned, black theater, or black filming that can also transform, like black boxes that can transform. I myself am associate artistic director. Well, not my sheet, but associate artistic director of King Productions. Which is part of the King, what is it called? Is it Black Theater Collective, Black Renaissance of multiple theater groups, Onyx Collection, as well as Nick and Princess Stars theater group as well. And we all perform under this larger umbrella of just being able to just create, because we understand all of us have small individual theaters that all produce, black art, and it's hard to come by. And the strong, we're stronger together is the whole idea. And eventually we're going to own a space, but for now, like we have a show coming up, Married and Still Looking, guys. If you're in the Atlanta area, Married and Still Looking, May 13th and 14th, I believe. But when you go to kingproductions.show, you can see those dates. Keep me honest, but that's going to be up at a black owned space, a Perfect Note, which has powerhouse performances all the time. But definitely come out, support. Great space, but we also have to support each other's space. It's not just enough to have the space. We have to come out and support. And they're great pieces of art. So hopefully we're going to see you guys out there soon, but definitely worth it. So,
Y'all
baby
make sure
pieces.
y'all go and support. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's like baby steps. I was like, baby footsteps at a time of like trying to get to the bigger, collaborative. And I know that, there are other folks out here in Atlanta doing it as well. So, I love Atlanta because of that scrappy energy of like what it's going to create. I mean, True Colors in Atlanta. I'd like to see them in more spaces than just Atlanta. But myself being from Austin, Texas originally, but True Colors is definitely doing the thing out here. It there's some beautiful art going on. We just have to make sure that we are being fully present for each other.
More than
Yeah.
ever. And I tell my guests and my fashion dolls this all the time. I tell them that it is important that you support black artists who are up and coming. It's okay to support the other. And you mentioned
Mhm.
Black Panther. Congratulations to Michael P. Jordan and Ryan Coogler at the Oscars.
Yes.
So, I mean, Sinners was up for 16 nominations. I would have loved to see the rest of the cast get something as well too for that masterpiece because it
Mm.
had us focused in. And this is why we have to make sure
Yes.
that we're also supporting these artists. If we want them to win, we have to make sure that we are supporting every single film that they put out. Ryan Coogler is just dynamic at what he
Oof.
does. And it just goes to show you. You said we're going to own this one day. Ryan Coogler had a vision, and so many other artists have had a vision of what they wanted to do. And it
Right.
started with just manifesting as you're doing that and putting it out there. It can happen. It can and too will definitely happen. And Brad says the
Absolutely.
performances by those musicians and dancers from the segment of
Wow.
that film. Wow. Sinners, yes.
Oh,
Misty Copeland. When you cannot when we you cannot talk about Debbie Allen. Well, you can't talk about Misty Copeland without talking about
but
Debbie Allen because
facts.
Debbie Allen crawled because she has her dance troupe as well too. She's still working with these children out here, our youth,
Absolutely.
and we need more programs like that where our
Absolutely.
youth is getting involved. So the next generation they pick up. You guys know I'm a big Beyonce fan. Valoneecia, I am a part of the Beehive girl. And when I seen Blue Ivy doing exactly what her mother was doing in one of her videos, I'm like, this girl studies her mother. So the next
Mhm.
generation is watching us. They're watching the Valoneecia Talberts. They're watching the Miss Stevies of
Oh.
Style by Stevies. They're watching all of us. They're watching us and they're saying, if these women can do it, I can
Mhm.
do it as well too. So the next generation that's following right behind us, they're already training. They're already learning how to work on music. They're already learning how to play the keyboard. We need more programs that get our youth
Yes.
involved and getting involved in the arts. And I think
Absolutely.
programs, I wish they would still do it because Denzel Washington, y'all already know what I'm going to say. He was the spokesperson for it. It's the Boys and Girls Club. And I don't
Yeah.
know if they still do that anymore. Like it used to be on the radio, you could hear it on the radio in your car, you could see the commercials pop up on
Hmm.
television.
They have
But we
drives and
need
things like that. Hmm.
yes, we need to make sure that we're getting them involved in the arts as well too. And even at the historically black colleges and universities, there's so many programs there. Don't take them for granted. Use those programs. Use those programs.
Absolutely.
If acting or film production is something that you want to major in, go for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those things of and it goes into so many different things. Like I went to Texas State University in San Marcos, and there's a thing that I will say about having a training in theater is it's not just for theater. I ended up owning a small
Yes.
business for a while, and another small business, I should say, when I was in Brooklyn, and it trained me on how to navigate that, and it helped me navigate my time in property management. It helped me, like, there's so many. It just also made me more confident just in being present, in the world. There's so many things that this creative industry is great for, and it doesn't mean that you have to be an actor. Let's also keep it, buck 100. It's not about being an actor necessarily in the space. Lighting design. There are just not enough people in lighting design. Film. We just saw a girl, get her cinematography, Oscar. There are so many different things that are there and present in the arts for women to really take a hold of, or for just us, period, to be able to tell our own stories. That I would always say, look into the university you're going to go for it, man. I mean, the world is literally open to us. We just have to be willing to take it. And I'm not saying it's easy, but willing to take it. And the arts isn't for the weak. I'm not going to say that at all. Like I've had people like, "Oh, well, it's easy." And I'm like, "No. This is an industry where you face rejection over and over and over and over and over, and I'm going to probably add a couple more, like 50 overs again. But you have to be strong enough to know what you want to do. You have to be strong enough to say what you want to create, start creating things for yourself, right? And then moving forward from there. It's not for the weak, but it definitely makes you strong. It makes you strong.
And that's for sure. That's for sure. That is for certain. And it's so many people who've shared their stories like, no, you're not what we're looking for, but they went back and auditioned for the role and they've got that same
Hmm.
exact role. They could be driving home on the way and then the producer calls back and say, I need you to come in and read for this part.
Yep.
And you'd be amazed at how many stories I've heard that where, the person is missing calling
Yeah.
to go for the role or anything, and they came back and the producer or the casting director has given them that role because they did
Hmm.
something and they owned it and they said, okay, we want you to come back reoccurring, and the rest is history. So you never
Hmm.
know. You never know. And you're going to face rejection in this business. You're going to be told no. But the thing is, you prep yourself up for it. It could be no, like I was watching someone who did a TED Talks, and it's a gentleman who was trying to do a pitch for a company, and they told him no. He talked about the power of no and the meaning of it and meaning behind it. And he
Hmm.
was saying basically they rejected my pitch. I think for a pharmaceutical company, something he was working on. And he said the gentleman said no, and he came back the next few months after that, and he got it. So there's power behind being rejected. Trust me,
Hmm.
rejection is God's protection. And in his right timing, it will all fall in line. I didn't get styled by Stevie just from, doing what I'm doing this independently, and I'm not backed by a big
Nice.
corporation or anything. And this is all off of the strength of me, the knowledge that I have, and being able to share my knowledge with other people as well too, and my guests as well.
Absolutely.
So
We are so
being
grateful
able
for
to
that.
have a gift to be able to pass that torch on to the next person. Pay it forward. That's what it's called. Paying it forward is the law of reciprocity. And that's something that I
Hmm.
play firm in all the time, is making sure that whatever I get in return, I am giving it back to each and every one of us. So someone who left that comment who said, thank you for educating people about our heroes. I said, oh, for sure, I'm going to make sure that everybody is included. And that's why we love you, sister. I love y'all too. Thank you, K2. Thank you, brother. And I'm going to keep doing it. I said, as long as I have oxygen in my body and I have blood running through my veins, I am going to continue to make sure that our people are educated, our people are aware. Our people understand our lineage and our history that runs deep in this country. And not only just that, but I'm also going to make sure that no corner is left unturned. So when I reached out to this beautiful woman over here to my right, if you're watching on your phone, this woman over here that's in the Fox Theater, this beautiful chick over here, she had her reservations about doing an interview with me. She was just like, okay, what's this for? And I explained to her, I said, when I went back and I watched some of her work, I'm like, okay, who is she? I need to have her on my show. I'm a girl's girl and I'm about empowering
Oh,
women who look like
Thank
me, black
you.
women. And I broke it down to her. I said, we're in a time where black women are being broken down, disrespected, dehumanized. Y'all seen what happened with Tiana Taylor at the Oscars. Kelly Rowland when she went to Cannes as well too. And it's just like when we get in these spaces, these women have to bite their tongue. So when you said being loud, that's what they want us as black women to do is bite our tongues and just be quiet. Nah. Eartha Kitt didn't bite her tongue. Moms Mabley didn't bite her tongue. Pam Grier for damn sure didn't bite her tongue. And so many others. They were told to shut up, sit down, be quiet, know your place. And that's always been the case for black women. Don't try to tell our stories for us. Let us tell our own stories. So that's
right,
why it's important.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm
And
very
Brad said
grateful
you
for
are
that.
the best.
Oh, so sweet. So it's been a really big blessing, and I definitely was like, what's going on? Is this real? And I also started looking at your interviews, and I started noticing you had some really lovely conversations that you held space for people and enabled them to have. So understand that you were a blessing for us, and I'm very grateful for that because a lot of people wouldn't do it. You know,
You're welcome, girl.
but
You are welcome. And I'm going to bring you back on the show. We're not done with our conversation yet. We're going to continue on with Valoneecia, but I wanted to give her her flowers and put talk about it because I'm like, okay, why is when I first reached out to her, she was kind of skeptical, like, okay, what's this for? And I explained to her and I told her, as black women, we have to make sure that we are looking out for our sisters in this business. Because whereas one woman has had the door closed in her face, another woman has had the same thing happen to her as well too, because of the color of her skin. And this has happened so many times. We've seen it with Dorothy Dandridge, with Josephine Baker, with some
right,
of the greats. We
right,
can go all the way back in time to Ella Fitzgerald, and the list goes on and on and on. For them being told no because of the color of their skin, because they
hmm
were a woman, people have underestimated them. So that brings me to my
Sorry,
next
had to
part
move around
of
real fast. Give me a second. Let's turn the lights back on. Okay, there we go.
you're good. Which brings me to my next part of our conversation. Billie Holiday, you better know it. Yes, if you guys seen Lady Sings the Blues,
Hmm.
just like Hattie McDaniel was told that Diana Ross, did an outstanding job portraying Billie Holiday. Just like she was told, remember the scene where that's how Strange Fruit, the song came to be. Just from her experience. She said, I have to use the restroom. Dorothy Dandridge, the same thing. She
Same thing.
dipped her toe in the pool and they're saying, now we're going to have to drain the pool. It's a scene
Yep.
in the introducing Dorothy Dandridge with Holly Berry, and she dipped her toe in the pool because everything was segregated back then, where water fountains were marked colored. We've seen it. They
Hmm.
had their section, we had our section. We had to go through the back door. And that's how it's always been, and where they're trying to take us back to a time and turn back the clock to erase our stories off of
Baby.
television, to erase black women out of spaces that we know that we've worked hard for to be in. Y'all seen the film Hidden Figures? These are things that women these black women who were smart, who were adding up these numbers, who were accurate, who were on it, who were qualified to do it. And now we're seeing them push back and push us out of these spaces. It breaks my heart because I'm just like, you've already, like Valoneecia just said, you've already got one strike against you because you're black. The next strike is because you're a
Mhm.
woman, and they don't think you should be in that position. And then when you question them, I've had men, and I'm being transparent with Valoneecia, I'm pretty sure she's experienced the same thing, which brings us to the next part of the conversation, which is our superpower. And I've had to give men my credits rundown of people that I've interviewed. They've sort of like underestimate me. I've done over 1,000 interviews. I've reached my goal this year, which was 1,000
Wow.
interviews and counting. We will be
Wow.
on the road to 2,000. Yes. And people have underestimated me like, no, and no sick days. Girl, when I tell you, Valoneecia, no sick days, girl. I'm just like, Jesus, take the wheel, Father. I
I
don't know
mean,
how
can
I
we
managed
let's
to
just
do
take a
it.
moment to actually like you should take a moment and just revel in that for a moment. Like that's a blessing and congratulations for you.
Thank you, girl.
Congratulations.
I remember when they did that to you. Yes,
That
K2, I told you about it. I said, I'm having to prove myself to these male guests that are coming on the show. Like you've got it already in the business. You've got your foot in the door, but I'm having to show you my accolades of who I've sat with. My work speaks for itself. I shouldn't have to prove anything to you. And if you're thinking that I'm like gonna be like a Wendy Williams, I'm like, no, I'm not like that at all. My
not at all.
approach is one of my guests, he told me this. He said, you have nuance. You know how to have hard hitting conversations without having hard hitting conversations. And in a way, I make it so it's like you're having a conversation with an old girlfriend. Like right now, I feel like I'm talking with one of my girlfriends having brunch. And that's
Mhm.
Valoneecia. I'm sitting down with her and we're having brunch and we're just shooting the breeze, talking about things that black women go through. And these are things we constantly have to prove our worth to these men in these spaces. And I told K2, I said, brother, why am I having to prove myself constantly to these men? And some of them have come on the platform and they're just like, how does she know all of these things? When I get in the political arena, it blows their mind, Valencia. And to see the look on their face, I'm just like, checkmate. I knew it. Because I got it. I got it. And I've studied it for so long. But as black women in this country, that is a thing we have to constantly prove our worth. Which brings me
Mhm.
to the next part of the conversation, which is our superpower. Valenecia, as a black woman and working in the space of theater and doing voiceover, what would you say is your superpower? I know, and I'll start with mine's. I would say mine's is being able to use my intelligence, and to be able to captivate you at the same time, and have hard hitting conversations that are sometimes taboo, like the pay gap. We know that black women are still not being paid fairly.
Yes.
For every dollar that a man makes, I think it's 42 cents. And I think it's a crying shame that I believe in my heart that a woman should make the same amount, especially black women, because Viola Davis said it best. She said, if you call me the black Meryl Streep, pay me like it. Pay
That's
me my
right.
worth. Pay black
That's right.
women what they're worth. And being able to sit in a space with men and have these conversations, and it blows their mind, just like she knows too much. So I would say my superpower is my intelligence. So what would you say is your superpower, Valenecia, as a woman and as a black woman?
You know, funny enough, I would say my quirk. My quirk is definitely, I feel, my superpower. It was a thing that I used to try and shy away from for years and try to, I'm going to be very specific within a space and very corporate within a space because that's what I'm told I have to do. But everything, including like work-life balance, all those things changed when I just embraced my awkwardness. I hate to say it that way, but my bubbly black girlness, everything kind of fell into place. And a lot of it is because I was able to take to people who discounted who I was. Less serious. I was literally just like, oh, you're not actually important to me. So I can keep that moving. If you don't understand the magnificence of who I am, why am I worried? Uh, it does something when you just really reclaim who you are, and allow yourself to just authentically be present in the space that you're in. So I'm just saying to my bubbly black women out there, keep it bubbling, ladies. Keep it bubbling. 'Cause
Absolutely.
it's power.
And and shout outs to Issa Rae for making it okay to be an
Yep.
awkward black girl. When
Yep.
I look at shows like Issa Rae, Insecure, and she started here on YouTube as well too, Adventures of an Awkward Black Girl.
Adventures,
And then you look on
that
Living
was a
Single.
thing.
You look
Sinclair.
at
Sinclair was my girl on Living Single.
Freddie on A Different World as well too. Cree Summer,
Yeah.
hats off to her. They made it okay for black women because we're gonna live. And what I
Right.
love about living single is that each woman, if you're like in a girl group, you're gonna have each woman that's gonna have their part in the group. One woman's gonna take the high note, one woman's gonna take the lower register, one woman's gonna take the in between. With
Hmm.
what Yvette Lee Bowser did when she created the show, because this was based off of her and her girlfriends that went to college together. She created a show that showcased African American women in a different light. You have one that's the successful magazine owner. You had one who finding her way, shall I say, or a sponsor regime. You've got
Yep.
one who's just that bubbly, quirky cousin who's hilarious, who will try to get you out of a funk and make sense of the situation. And then you have one who is sharp, who is a legal expertise. She got in the courtroom and she wore a skirt and heels, and she, just like myself in a space that's male dominated, she came in and she commanded and she got the job done. That was Maxine Shaw. So you were either one of those four women. And I know for me, I was either I know you said you could relate to St. Clair the most.
Hmm.
And I know for me, it was Maxine. It was Erica Alexander's character. Because with these men out here nowadays, you got to be quick on your feet. Because the same
Yep.
way they'll try to, over talk you and tell you, you're being too difficult, you're being too loud, you're being aggressive. No, I'm being factual, and these are facts. I'm going to give you the truth. You have to prove them
Yep.
wrong. And that's what I loved about her is that she brings the facts, she brings the receipts, she brings the evidence. So I was either a Regine or a Khadijah. I was the boss lady. I wanted to be in these spaces as well too, and fit in and prove myself. But I was a little bit of Regine too, because Regine was all about her looks. So I mean, you were
Hmm.
either one of them. But Brad also says that your one woman show is so good. Tales of a Blurred Ballerina.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a piece of love. Yeah. It was actually based on my life. So it's a very important piece to me. It's not just one of the things that I've written. It's one of the things that I feel like constantly lives. And kind of also an anti-bullying piece for kids as well. I have a children's version of it as well because I didn't realize how many kids related. Like parents would come and see it. It's very comic book based. Um, and then they would come back again. Well, I was like, oh, they're going back again. But then they would bring their kids, and I was like, oh, this isn't a kid show. And I started thinking, like, it's like Shrek, for lack of better words. A lot of the things that are more adult completely go over their heads. And then also when you go back into just, I don't curse very much in the show either, which is kind of unusual for me because I curse like a sailor. So sorry. But I realized because it didn't need it. And most of it was about my life as a child, where I was just an awkward, chubby ballerina who loved Marvel comic books. What else do you have? I mean, it's
And
just
there's
love.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. This,
That
yeah. There's.
and
I know that now.
and my thing is, as black women, we're not a monolith. We're not a monolith. Our styles are different.
Hmm.
Our walks of life and experiences are different. So celebrate that. Celebrate that awkwardness. Celebrate everything about you. And I left yesterday's show, and I'm pretty sure you caught the tail end of it when we gave our final thoughts. I said, "Dear Black girl, dear Black girl, embrace every single part of you. That means your awkwardness. That means your if you're like me, you're more sensuous. You know, you're more mysterious, and all that your aura, the divine feminine. That was something that I also said in yesterday's show. If you guys caught it, I said, women, we have, especially Black women, we have something powerful inside of us, and that's versatility. That is the key word I want you all to remember, because we're not a monolith. The Valoneecia is going to be Valoneecia and embrace every part of her. And I want every woman that is watching Style by Stevie to embrace every part of them. It's just like my girls, TLC. You got the crazy, you got the sexy, you got the cool. And it's just like, I was all three of them. So I said out of the bunch, my
Yep.
girlfriend Rashida Randall, she says, because I put her in a girls. We're all in this group of Black women, and it's like six of us. And if you want to join Valencia, let me know so I can introduce you to the other lady. But
Absolutely. Please do.
she said, I got a feeling, because when we did our interview, I'm gonna send you that interview too. She said, I got a feeling that you're gonna be the troublemaker out of the group. And surprisingly, she was right.
I was
So
like, no, I
I'm a
see
little
that. I
bit of
see
the
that.
risk taker. I'm the little bit of the risk taker, and it's another one. It's another woman in the group just like me. Her name is Clara. Clara is hilarious, and she is on a whole nother level. We have a good time. So it's just like, again, we're not a monolith. Every woman has their own personality, and it's something to make her smile in her own way. So I would say, dear Black girl, embrace every part of you: your awkwardness, your sensuality, your melanin, your femininity, your elegance, your class. When I think of elegance in Broadway and theater, I think of Alicia Rashad, I think of Ruby Dee, I think of Diane Carroll.
Ruby
And these
D.
are women that I grew up watching on television, especially Diane Carroll. Like, to be able to do theater, to be able to
Yes.
do mainstream, to see her on television shows. And my grandmother was a big Dynasty watcher. I didn't find
Yes.
out about Dynasty because my father told me about it. He said, your grandmother used to watch, there was a whole channel dedicated to soap operas, and Dynasty
Yep.
came on. Yep. And that's when I saw Diane Carroll. And she had on this. I can't remember what she had on, but she was notorious
She
for
has this
diamonds and
amazing
jewels
her
around the
her little
neck.
mane.
Yes. And I'm like, who is she? And I'm like
Elegance.
14, 15 years old watching her. I'm like, who is she? Who is this woman? And my father told me, he was just like, that's Diane Carroll. Saw her in the Five Heartbeats. Saw her doing what was it, a different world where Patty and her and Patty LaBelle had the exchange.
Yeah.
And we see her in more and more and more and more and more. And I studied her and I'm just like, wow, she's everything. And then
Yeah.
another, I would have been too young to see. Uh, oh yeah, this movie was R rated. It was Josephine Baker's story with Lynn Whitfield. And
Oh,
when I tell you that Lynn Whitfield
Lynn.
embodied Josephine Baker, the banana
Well,
skirt
also,
is
let's
just
give
like
her
if
all
you.
of her flowers, though. Lynn Whitfield deserves
Yes.
all of the flowers.
Ooh.
She's been a classic actress, a brilliant actress for us to look up to for years. And I feel like this younger generation is starting to rediscover her. But there was a time period where people, I feel like, forgot about who she was. Sorry, I'm in the bus. Forgot about who she was. And it's about time for them to rediscover her as well, because she's one of our new classics. She's one of our queens, but I say new classics because she's still young. She's still she's still doing the thing. But
And showing
brilliant.
you that if it's a passion or a dream of yours, it's not too late to follow that. And she has stood that in the test of time. I mean, it goes all the way back to Stumping in the Savoy with Vanessa Williams, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing. You have Vanessa Bell
That's wild.
Calloway. You had Janet Hubert. And you had also a part of that cast, Guy. So it was all of these amazing women. Jasmine Guy is another, a different world, who studied theater, who went to college for this, who
Hmm.
studied the arts,
Also
who
an
mastered in the
Atlanta.
arts. To be Yes. And
Yes.
I mean, hats off to Lynn Whitfield. Hats off to all of these amazing women that I've named. Another who studied the arts as well too, who's a dramatic actress, that's Angela Bassett. And I mean, she wore Tina Turner out, Valoneecia, when I tell you, girl, I was upset. I'm like, y'all gonna pass over her and you gonna give this Oscar to Jamie Lee Curtis. No shade to Jamie Lee, but I think it's time for Angela to get her flowers as well, too.
It's been
I
past
mean,
time for her to get her flowers.
the Queen Mother in Black Panther, the Dora Milaje, they honor this woman. So I mean, come on now. I mean, Tina
Mhm.
Turner, and she for that role. I don't know how many of us as women got envious of her body, but her body looked snatched
Man, when Tina
as
told
Tina
her when
Turner. And
she
she
went
said
into
she
that
trained.
room, she was like, "Well, your acting's good, but you got to work on those legs." And Angela was like, "Word, okay, bet." Did all the work, and when you saw her pop out onto that screen, you were like, "T, like just phenomenal, phenomenal,
Her body looked amazing, Valencia. And I'm just like,
amazing."
I know she had to train strenuously to portray Tina Turner because one thing she was notorious for was her legs.
Yes,
That was her signature. She
yes,
would always wear the dresses that had the frill, and when she would dance and move, people would pay attention to the legs. Angela embodied that same exact. And in fact, there's a photo of them together, in the recording booth she has on the headphones and everything. So
hmm
it just goes to show you the amount of dedication that these actresses that I've named, all of them, they've had to put in their careers. So hats
yeah,
off to Lynn Whitfield. Hats off to all of these amazing actresses. Angela Bassett, who is still proving herself time and time again, because every actress goes through a reinvention. Period. I'll give you an example, and it goes back to what Valoneecia said. They typecast actresses and actors in this business. And for
hmm
if you're a woman, they want you to portray one specific role, and that's
right.
either the baby's mom, the prostitute, or the girlfriend of the lead gentleman in the film. And I'm just like the love interest. And it's just like, let me shine for once. Let me have my own role. But sometimes, hey, you got to work and get up to that leading lady status. The leading lady meaning the
Right.
lead role. And for me, if you want to go back, I can go back in time since we're talking about the leading lady role. It was Pam Grier and Foxy Brown for me. That's the first that I saw. And my father introduced me to Pam Grier. He introduced me to Tamra Dobson and Cleopatra Jones. Those
hmm
were the films that I've gotten introduced to. And I'm like, who are these actresses? And then to see Pam Grier still going on and now with her own production company. So we talk about the importance of female writers and filmmakers in the business. And she is on her way to doing that. So I went back and
Right.
I watched more of Pam Grier's work and I studied her and I'm like, what an amazing actress. Her work, her dedication, all of these things. And it's the same for Angela. Angela is the same thing as well too, who has reinvented herself. So I'm like, I want to play a superhero. I don't want to play, the prostitute. I don't want to
Right.
play, the the baby mom. I want to shine on my own. So when I
And a lot of
seen
that. Oh, go
Pam
ahead. I'm sorry.
Grier's, yeah, or the
No, a
mammy.
lot of
That's
that.
another thing.
I was about to say, like, I was like, a lot of it ends up being like to help. And while we, as just as being women, tend to be very, very helpful, um, I think it minimizes what we do. So I think the fact that we have so many more women who are getting into the space of writing, and especially women of color writing for ourselves, we get to actually start seeing ourselves, like our full selves, more on screen and more on stage, and all of that has such a tremendous effect on our youth, like the women that are watching us, young ladies that are growing up and watching, because it's no longer, you can only be this small circle of what woman is considered, which actually isn't anything that any of us see in real life. Like, if we're going to be honest, like 9 out of 10 of us don't just see some lady who's like uh, the trope of poor
the trope
uneducated
of
with
poor
multiple children.
uneducated
Most of the
with
most of the
multiple
women I
children.
know are
Most of the women I
hardworking
know are
entrepreneurs,
hardworking
have 4 or 5
entrepreneurs,
jobs,
have 4 or 5
keeping like
jobs,
aren't
keeping
always
like
just keeping their
aren't
families.
always just keeping their
Most of the
families.
families I know
Most of the
actually
families
are
I know actually are
married and home together.
and home
I know
together.
more married
I
people
know
than I
more
do
married people than I
single, and
do
we don't see
single,
that
and
enough
we
on
don't see that
screen.
enough on
There's so
screen.
many things about the Black
There's so
family that
many
are
things
so
about the Black
strong,
family
so
that are
many
so
things about
strong,
being a
so
Black
many
woman
things
that is so
about being a Black
beautiful.
woman that is
And
so
I'm glad that we're
beautiful.
starting to
And
see
I'm
more and
Yes.
glad that
more of
we're
that
starting to see
reflected
more and more of that
on,
reflected
on screen. A lot of it's because we're
on screen.
producing
A
our own
lot of it's
work more
because
and
we're
more.
producing our own work more and
And I
more.
think that's important.
And I think that's
Representation is
important.
so incredibly
Representation
important.
is so
So
incredibly important. So
I'm very proud of what we're
I'm very
seeing
proud
come
of what we're
about. And
seeing
I know
come
that like
about.
we're,
And I
there are
know that
places
like
where we're
we're,
losing
there are
funding,
places where we're losing funding,
but even with that
but
funding being
even with that
lost, we're finding ways
loss,
to
we're
create
finding
ourselves because there
ways to
is
create
also quite a
ourselves.
bit of
Because there
black
is
wealth in
also
this
quite a bit of
country.
Black wealth in this country.
So a lot of it
A
is
lot of
about,
it is about,
us
us
taking care of each other as well.
taking care of
So
each other as well.
let's
So
keep moving forward, guys. That's the
let's keep
biggest
moving
thing.
forward, guys. That's the biggest thing.
Shout outs to my colleague Deshaun. He says, beautiful ladies. Right. Thank you, Deshaun. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you,
And
Deshaun.
speaking of leadership and taking women writing, Lifetime strike movie deals with Queen Latifah, Taraji P. Henson, and Mary J. Blige.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is for micro
And soon to
dramas.
be
And that's what we're
Valoneecia
saying.
Tolbert. We're just going to send that into the
We're
universe
just gonna
right
send
now,
it to the
right?
universe right now, right?
Put it out there, girl. Yes.
Right.
You're going to get it. It's
Right.
taking care of each other, looking out for your neighbor, and right, and supporting black filmmakers, supporting
Right.
black women writers. This woman over here is a writer. The woman to my
Do
right,
it.
Valoneecia Tolbert.
I
You
love it.
need to be supporting her
I love it.
and
Hmm.
making sure that we create a space where our stories are told. And I'm
Hmm.
so thankful for the likes of Queen Latifah, Taraji P. Henson, Valnesia, my girl Rashida Randall, my girl Ro Underwood, my girl Dr. Debrina Sander, for all of these amazing black women who I've grown to know just through hosting this platform. It's important that we share the stories, having a network, bringing families and friends together, trying to build. Because the thing is, they're trying to. Yes, they're taking away our history, our lineage, but we won't let them. We're Jamie Foxx said something, and I always keep quoting it. He says, "Where they're trying to erase, we will replace." And that means we're going to create more and more history. Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, and Tiana Taylor's their wins at the Oscars were a win for us. And we still got a lot to do. I would love to see more
Yeah.
representation, more black filmmakers, more winners win and take home
Absolutely.
awards. But this is why we have to keep emphasizing the importance of the Image Awards and supporting the Image Awards, supporting black local arts. Valencia has something coming up, and we're going to keep pushing it. I'm going to keep bringing her back. You're going to be seeing her more. I'm going to make her a regular here on the show, and she's going to be coming
I love
back
it.
more to promote and the importance of it. And we're going to be doing some girl talks together. I'm going to introduce her to the other ladies as well too, who
Yes.
all have that business mindset. Rashida, really, because Rashida, she's a writer as well too, and she
I
writes.
love it.
So it's important. She is at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. So yes, the
Yes.
Fox Theater in Atlanta. And that's perfect because what we're talking about the black arts and the Harlem Renaissance period. And we covered a number of things in today's show,
Hmm.
being black women in the business and the importance of telling our stories. Where we're not a monolith. We're I mean, and growing up for us, all of these shows like Good Times, Martin, the Jeffersons, you black families. We talk about black families. They were all not
Right.
the same. Everybody had their own way. Like Jeffersons had their business. Uh, Good Times, the Evans family, James, Florida. Everybody was trying to find their way. They were
Right.
trying to find their way. They were trying to make sure that everybody got out. And then fast forward, you see shows like Martin. Gina had her career. Martin had his career at the radio station. So everybody did their thing. Even the friends of the show, Pam, Tommy. Tommy didn't have one.
Well, we don't know what time it is. I was like,
Yes, Tommy didn't have one. Everybody was trying to figure out what Tommy did. So Cole had his, Cole was finding his way. Everybody is finding their way. And that's to show you that we're all not a monolith, that we're not all the same. Everybody's
right,
career paths is different. And we have to be in these writing rooms, in these spaces.
right.
Shirley Chisholm has a quote that goes like this: if they give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. And in every space that I'm in, when I reached out to this beautiful woman about coming on my show, Miss Valoneecia, when I reached out to her, she had her reservations about it. She said, "What's the purpose of this?" And I can understand, because some of us, we all have to be on high alert. You know, what is the motives? What is your intentions? But my intentions are very clear, and that
Mm,
is to make
that
sure
wasn't
that Black
it.
women, yeah,
That wasn't it.
and
I will say I was already in my place of doubt of like, why does she
yeah,
want to talk to me? Like, why? I'm not famous. Why does she want to talk to me? So a lot of it is you having to get out of your own head and your own places of minimizing your own work, um, and realizing like, hey, this is an amazing experience, and I'm worthy of this experience. So let me go ahead and join and have a great conversation with someone adorable. Let's go. So that was I want to be very clear on that. It wasn't like, who's that? It was more like, why do they want to talk to me? I don't know if I'm impressive enough to have a conversation, but having to realize like I've done a lot of work. Let me have a talk. Yeah.
And that you did. You are an award-winning playwright. You are an actress. You are a writer. You've done voiceover work, and again, in a space where it's male dominated, and we don't see anyone really that looks like me. And the first time when I seeing shows like The Proud Family, seeing Cree Summer, being able to voice all of these different characters, and
Yes.
she has like a list. It's a picture. Y'all
She
know
has
the
a
picture.
list.
She's posted it. And some of these characters I didn't know, because these were shows that I watched growing up. Like, I didn't know she was the voice behind that. So I said, we're at a time where they want to erase Black women out of these spaces, our contributions, Black people, sure that every black woman included is included. And as a Black woman myself,
Hmm.
I see another Black woman, and I said I wanted to bring her on my show, and I wanted her to tell her story, because it's been a time where most of our stories are not told. Phyllis Hyman, no one has really said we're going to pick up and we're going to portray her. We're going to, write her story or anything.
Right.
We've seen interviews, we've seen bits and pieces of her, and we'll tell her story for her. But it's a shame that the stories of us do not get told. Fannie Lou Hamer is another Black woman who's never had a story told about her.
They need
We've
to
seen
speak up on that.
biographies, we've read up on them. If you want to go to the theater and the folklore side, and we talk about awkward Black girls, I can go all the way back in time. Let's go to Zora Neale Hurston. And no one has picked up and said, we're going to do a story on this woman. But, however, Oprah, Halle Berry, Michael Ealy, remember, their eyes were watching
Mhm.
God. They turned it into a
Ah,
whole film.
yeah.
So this is based off of that. When she created Their Eyes Were Watching God, this is like, for the Black woman, this is our Bible. This is basically saying celebrate every part of you, Black women's liberation, because at the time we were making it for ourselves. We were doing it for ourselves. So that's basically what Their Eyes Were Watching God about. It's empowering us and telling people that, hey, we can be in these positions, we can be in these spaces as well too, that are male
Mhm.
dominated, and we making it for ourselves. That's what Zora Neale Hurston was about. She was about women being in resistance, finding independence, finding their way, and so much more. And I think that's important. I think that's important. I can go down. We'd be here all day listing them all. We're over an hour in this interview,
Uh-oh.
and we're going through because some of these women have never had their stories told. And it's important that they're out here. So we've seen Lady Sings the Blues as Brandon in the comments earlier, Billie Holiday. And then
Mhm.
fast forward, Andra Day. I think it's The People versus Billie Holiday on Netflix. She did an outstanding job. So we have to make sure that we are telling the stories of these figures out here and that the next generation picks up on it because they study them in school, but it's just like maybe if they see it visual, because these kids nowadays they have such a short attention span, it has to be visual for them. And I try to make sure, even with me hosting this platform, that I do everything visually. I don't try to make it boring because they're just like, okay, we talk about Harlem Renaissance, they're just like, oh, why you want to go back that far, like but I try to make it fun and educating and exciting at the same time. And I think that's what draws people in because I do something that others are not doing. That's called nuance and being able to educate as well as entertain at the same time. And that's what theater is all about, being able
Yep.
to educate, shock you. So when I see Michelle Williams in Death Becomes Her, when I see uh, Latanya Richardson backstage calling the shots, production, behind the scenes writing, when I see Candy Burris writing backstage, behind the scenes, when I see Taraji P. Henson and so many others that are out here independently as black women
Right.
saying, I'm calling the shots. This is mine's right here. I've written this. It makes me feel good to see a Valoneecia Tolbert, to see a who else is a writer? Shout outs to Issa Rae, shout
I
outs
mean,
to Gina Prince, Blythewood, shout outs to Shonda Rhimes. Like these women have made a name for themselves. Viola Davis is another as well too, writing and producing,
right.
not just acting.
Not
And
just
we
acting.
have to make sure that we're recognizing all of this because, again, we don't just stay in one lane, we navigate from lane to lane to lane to lane to lane. And that's the beauty of being in this business, where it's just like and you always having to prove yourself. You're always having to work twice times as hard as a man in this business. You're always having to prove yourself like you're qualified and you're capable of being in these spaces as well too.
No,
And
absolutely.
there have been plenty of times when we've had doors closed in our face, but we still have persevered. We still have not only persevered, but we've shown that what we're capable of doing. The same way he can do it, I can do it as well. And I've proven myself time and time again.
Over and over.
So just wanted to say that. Just wanted to say that, Fashion Bells. So
Yes, yes.
the joy of being a black woman for you is, what does that look like, Valencia? What is the joy of being a black woman? And I would say the joy for me of being, I'll let you start and then I'll go. What would you say the joy of you for you waking up every day as a black woman and just embracing all of you? What does that look like for you?
I guess that's a very full question. I think it's the fact that I don't have to choose uh, a certain way to be, for lack of better words. I don't think that there is one way to be a black woman. I can wake up and, like today I have sister locks. Tomorrow I will have a short buzz cut, and 2 more days I'm gonna have a nice side like curly swoop. Um, I get to embrace every single part of my personality and every single part of my womanhood. And every single piece of that is authentic because all of it lives within us. Our ancestors have given all of those different pieces to us. And we can just rock with that however we choose to. And I think there's a strength. It's not just strength, there's a beauty in it that I think other people don't really get to tap into. And I'm always proud of that. So yeah, man.
I would say for me, waking up every day as a black woman in this country, my boldness, my as Deshaun and my
Mm,
brother K Tukes would say, as my brothers and colleagues would say, you have a certain fire, you have a certain spice. And I would say my fire, my passion is, they mistake our passion for anger. We touched on the angry black woman narrative yesterday and how dangerous that was to us with
mhm.
Tracy. because she said the same thing basically that you're saying. I said I can't be paranoid because black women are saying the same exact thing that I, as a black woman
Yeah.
myself, we're saying, which is when we speak up, we're loud, or we're aggressive, or we're angry. And we're just like, no, this is not anger. This is just passion. We're just letting you know that we're not comfortable with the accommodations that you've had for us. We deserve better. We deserve more. And that's not just for equal pay, but that means across the board. And I can give you a story before I jump back into me of Regina King. Um, you've mentioned hair. On set, they gave another actress everything. They get the best. They get the good hair treatment, whereas the black actress or the actors of color, they don't know how to work with our hair. They've never worked with our
True.
textured hair, and that
True.
is an issue. That is an issue in Hollywood. That is an issue in this business. You need to have someone who is qualified there to understand how ethnic hair or African American hair, as they would call it, our hair textures vary. You're going to have someone with 4C. And Regina King spoke up about it. The director wasn't mad at all. She just said, no, it's got to be somebody here to do this for me. So when you speak up in the business and you say something like that, like, even Victoria Rowell, you can go back to the soap operas. I've watched The Young and the Restless, Drusilla Winters,
Hmm.
Victoria Rowell. The
Yes.
CEO over there at the network were just like, when she came on set, oh, your hair is so perfect. She was like, would you like me to bring someone in to do a demonstration? Because they don't know how to work with our hair. And that has happened even on the male side. The Black Power Ranger, Walter E. Jones, you guys
Oh
know him.
man, his edge up was
He
horrible.
shared a story where they cut his hair. It was someone who, yes, didn't know how to, how black men are lined up when they go to the barbershop, and they used a different type of guard, and the picture went viral. You guys have seen it. But he said ever
Yep.
since then it's got to be somebody who and speak up in this business. We're labeled as aggressive, we're labeled as bitter and angry. And it's just like, no, I'm not angry. I'm just passionate about what I believe in. So I would say waking
Hmm.
up as a black woman in this country, one thing that I do not take for granted is my passion of being able to speak out and empower other black women to speak out. So if we're bitter, we're angry, or we're aggressive, it's because something 9 times out of 10 has made us uncomfortable. So we got to speak out on it. We got to speak out, and we have to check this situation. Because if we don't, then you'll continue to keep doing it again. I told you this made me uncomfortable. How my hair,
Right.
get someone who understands my hair here on this network. So I would
Hmm.
say waking up as a black woman, my passion, my fire, my sensuality, the divine feminine, we all inherit. We as women, black women especially, we inherit something that the ancestors put into us. Our great grandmothers, uh, our great aunts, all of these women that called for us. They have came here, our ancestors, and their blood is running through our veins. We have the blood of kings and queens through our veins as black women in this country. So that's something that I don't take for granted at all. And
That's
I
right.
love it. I love being liberated. I love being wild, crazy. And I can go through to the women in history who have been told, like Valoneecia said, no, shout outs to my girl Spicy. Hey girl. Uh, I have the blood of Harriet Tubman through my veins. I have the blood of Toni Morrison. I have the blood of Maya Angelou. I have the blood of all of these women, and so does Valencia. We all have the blood of these women who crawled so that we could walk and be here today as black women in these entertainment spaces, where it's dominated by white men. Let's keep it a buck. Everything is dominated currently right now by white men who are intimidated by our strength. That's one thing that I inherit as well too as a black woman. My strength, my intelligence,
Yep.
being know everything because I've studied and I've done the work 20 plus years here in the So that's what I would say my superpower is, waking up as a black woman in this country, being able to educate people, and Valoneecia over here, educating our people through her one woman show. Because trust me, that I think Jennifer Lewis did it, and so many others have had one woman shows
Mhm.
and has kept the audience entertained for hours, because shows go on for hours and people are engaged. They're asking questions. When I saw Michelle Williams in Death Becomes Her, she said one thing that the audience will do is they will interact with her. They will say, you know how people talk back to the movie theater
Right.
screen? They'd be like, no, don't do that. And it's fun. She interacts right back with them.
Right.
So doing
Right.
theater in real time, that's what it's about. So that's our
We have a conversation that we have, right? I was like, no gatekeeping. A conversation I always have if I give the opening speech to any theater show that I'm hosting or I direct or any of that. I always invite the audience to be active members. Doesn't mean come up on the stage. Doesn't mean like start having a
no.
whole conversation. But we want to we want it to be a collective experience, and we want you to be aware that we as blacks, and such brown folk, we kind of we live and move through the world a little bit differently, and quite often we don't always feel comfortable in certain theatrical spaces because they make you feel like your voice is overpowering or how you react isn't appropriate. But that's not what theater is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the embodiment of each other. It's supposed to be about the enjoyment. So we're always like, no gatekeeping. This is your home. Be present with us. If you see something like before anything even starts, I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna have you laugh real hard. You just heard the best joke ever. Laugh like you're in your living room. And if it's not what it's supposed to be, and I know it's not what it actually sounds like, I'm like, no, we're gonna do that again, and like let them react again. And I was like, I want you to react like, what just happened? Say it out loud, because I want people to feel very comfortable in living in the space that they're in. And so often we want to react, and as a performer, I love having those. I love having that come out to me. I love that energy coming. And performing in front of us is a very different experience than performing in front of my show, Blood Ballerina. Love that show. But what's amazing is depending on what audience I perform in front of, it's two very different. It's two very different shows, which for me as a performer is brilliant and amazing. I'm like, oh, this is an amazing experience. But the first time I had that experience of performing in New York, and in a predominantly, a very a heavily black audience, and the jokes that came, I was like, I knew that joke hit. I knew it hit. Like in a way that you were waiting to experience, but also things that I didn't think were funny, and in another audience, they were like, oh, okay. But and that was amazing. All these things just like tell you a little bit about yourself, about your experience, but also about how theater is alive and it lives. And
Yes.
it's a beautiful experience. But I know that I've had you on here for a little bit. I
Oh
do
God,
have
the
a work
conversation's
appointment
so
that I got to
good
run
though.
to. I know I have another work appointment that I got to run to before I end up getting myself in trouble. But I'm definitely gonna let you wrap it up because it's your show, and I'm so grateful just to have been invited. This has been a beautiful experience.
And I'm gonna bring you back, girl. We are definitely gonna keep in touch, and I'm gonna bring her back. The Blue Ballerina, y'all make sure y'all go and check out my girl Valoneecia Tolbert. Make sure y'all go and support this woman over here. She is
Married
talented.
and
She is
still
doing
looking.
things.
Married and still
Yes.
looking. Coming up at a perfect note in May. Go ahead and join us at teamproductions.show. Check it out.
Support her. Y'all make sure y'all go and support her and everything that
Mhm.
she's doing. Valoneecia Tolbert. Again, the Blue Ballerina. Y'all make sure y'all go and check that as
Blurred.
well too. Blurred Ballerina. Excuse
Yes.
me, the Blurred Ballerina.
Thank you.
Y'all make sure y'all go and support. And the final gem that I would leave you all with, to black women specifically, is never let anybody dim your light. Never let anybody dim your light. Your shine bright black girl. Shine bright because they have told us we're too loud, we're too aggressive, you're doing too much, you're doing this, that, and the third. I'm a black woman who do the most. And there have been other black women who have been told they were doing the most, from Angelou to Josephine Baker.
Yeah.
So shine bright, that's what leave your shows. And joining me tomorrow, we have Joe Rosen. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. And Valencia, thank you so much, Valoneecia. I
Thank
had
you.
such a great time
Thank
there.
you. Thank you,
Take care,
Hissy.
Fast
Thank you.
Love.
All right.
You are so welcome.
Yes.
Take care.